Speaking of sumos and big giant motherfuckers, Braun Strowman's Everything on the Menu show on Friday after WWE SmackDown was a pretty big success. Actually, pretty damn big success, especially this day and age. Dude, I could see them. Well, this is Dave Meltzer saying this, by the way, so who knows if he's even being legit here. Let's just be honest. It's Dave. What's a good Dave's? We'll just hit a learn. I don't know a good Dave sound right now. But it did 533,000 viewers and a 0.13, and it beat Dynamite. It beat NXT, which is on a network station. It beat it on a Friday night at 10, which is not even a good time slot. But it's crazy because when it comes to, it's funny because like Dave, when he talks about AEW, he will be like, if NXT does 533, oh, well, it gets destroyed because this, and that. It's like, and then when it comes to this show beating all of wrestling, because Dave hates wrestling secretly. That's why he just tries to stooge it all. You know, he has like, and this, you know, like it beat this show and that show, Brian. But I could see WWE bringing Braun in. I actually said this a while ago. I could see them bringing him back in. Just he was making so much money for like how little they were using him and what I think they thought he brought to the table. There's conspiracy theories out there that SmackDown moving to 3 hours, which we'll talk to and talk about and talk to. Yeah, we're going to talk to SmackDown. It's early in the show, guys. I'll get up. Stone Cold's trending, by the way. I could see them wanting to work with him in some capacity in the future, and this cross promotional whatever. You know what else was a good show though on Mondays on USA? Bar Rescue. I don't know if they still do that, but I would watch that after Raw all the time. Like I would like fall asleep to it or whatever, you know? Yeah, it's a massive hit. And then, there's conspiracy theories that SmackDown is like taking this hour because they saw how successful Strowman is. I think Baron Corbin threw that out there or some, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a matter of this was discussed before. They might go back to 3 hours. Everyone already talked about that. It's their way of spicing things up. Like clearly they're trying to spice SmackDown up, which we're going to talk about more. There's lots of SmackDown news and WWE news today. But good for Braun Strowman is ultimately what we're getting at here. Good for him. Speaking of good for them, Batista has a tradition of gifting his close friends and film co-stars the iconic Big Gold Heavyweight Championship as a token of appreciation. Now, this is just a random factoid. I think this is like an older video, but this is just a random factoid about Batista that I think people know, but I don't know if we've ever really talked about on the show. I'm not going to play this clip, but he gifts this to everybody. That's cool. And that's cool how he like associates with that title. Because to me, I always associated Batista with this title as well. There's certain guys where even Triple H, like, yeah, he's been a multiple-time WWE champion, but when I think of him, I think of the World Heavyweight Championship, you know? And there's certain guys, when you think of them, you're like John Cena, for instance. Yeah, he had the World Heavyweight title. I way more associate him with the WWE title. So a guy like Batista, when you think about, he's had world championships, just the one that comes to mind for me is him being world champion, world heavyweight champion, taking that belt, I believe, over to SmackDown too. Didn't they do the switcheroo at that point as well? So, and then the world heavyweight title on SmackDown. I mean, damn, we got so many runs with that thing. Like King Booker came from that thing being over there. So yeah, that's cool that he associates with it as well. Speaking of associations, I don't know if that's a good transition. Gail Kim announces she is taking wrestling bookings again with any association, your federation, or nation of domination. She will be booked by you. So Gail Kim hitting the pro. I mean, why not? Everyone's melting down about her. You see sickos getting enraged about her. Speaking of meltdowns, okay? Twitter and X users being sent DMCA notices over posts about former WWE star Cora Jade. Now, I've broken this down really extensively on the show, how these like false copyright and DMCA notices, and shout out Meltzer says what, because Meltzer said what, because NoDQ.com like used his tweet. His is the tweet that he went with. And it seems like she just sent a bunch of bots out there because they're like striking her wrestling shit and like giving notices and stuff. Doing this backfires so heavily. Like fans hate that shit. I don't know who was doing that. Like Lacey Evans did that. She, rich people do this. They will take their money and they will try and scrub the internet of all their shit and then control their shit so that if anything goes up, you can snipe it. And that's totally fair. But when it's your wrestling content, and like, can you even DMCA strike WWE shit, Cora Jade? That's the thing. I don't even know if you can actually do that. That might be illegal. This shit backfires so hard. On YouTube recently, in the trial of Unique versus Brendan Schaub, the precedent was set on YouTube of what's transformative and what's not. You know what I mean? So even when I get sniped by like Aubrey Edwards when we were like, or Don Stevens rather, when we were watching AW Unrestricted, it's like I could fight that shit, but then I have to go to court. I have to like dox myself to AEW. They're gonna run to the dirt sheets with it. You know what I'm saying? But the next step is like, nah, I dispute this, and then if they choose to challenge that, okay, you go to fucking court. That's how it's handled, right? And YouTube gives you the opportunity to just dispute it and settle it between yourselves, so that it doesn't, the next thing isn't like going to court or whatever. That's why people just, it's just, you don't want to start strike. I'm not saying like if someone plays your whole song or like plays a whole movie or something, like, yes, there's checks and balances, right? YouTube's pretty fair. With music, it's tough. Like even when I play the sad Meltzer Titanic sound, like I added the sad Titanic flute. I'm sure you guys, I could play it right now. Just a little daddy magic taste, but I have to quickly turn it down. Where is it? It's like my Dave sad flute. Yeah, the extra sad. Turn this down because even someone will try and snipe that sound, you know? So sometimes sounds can get silly, and then it's based on like who made a video on YouTube that copy wrote that riff first and things like that. It can boil down to just like ridiculous things. The point I'm getting at is I don't blame her for like wanting to pull down her shit, but this will backfire inevitably. Okay, because a company like WWE is going to be like, well, no, we own that. And then like something's going to happen. Some bot's going to like fucking DMCA strike something that they have no right to or some shit. Like, I don't know. You don't want your lewds out there. What she's trying to do is protect her OF content, because inevitably you start OF and then people will just start leaking your shit out there, you know? So, and especially when you're like a famous person or a name of note, a notable name. And yeah, I just think I don't think it's a good idea to do that, and I don't think it's a good idea to, or like, yeah, copyright your OF stuff, but it's targeting all this stuff that isn't OF stuff, right? And there is like, if you just leak OF stuff and get caught, you could get in trouble for that, for sure, 100%. But like now it's going off into like her NXT territory. I don't know if she owns that shit. But Julian Week says, out here hitting people with DMCA strikes for wishing you a speedy recovery is straight bullshit. It was the bots, Julian. This guy here says, Cora, way to kill any goodwill you had left. Yeesh. I don't know. I don't get why people hate on Cora so much. Oh, she quit this job or she didn't even quit. She got let go, but like she quit this job and then felt resentful and went and got a new job. Essentially, it's like, why is everyone mad at that? I really will never understand. But either way, Meltzer says, if you get DMCA notice from Cora Jade, dispute it and file a counter notice. Unless you posted photos from her OF, she cannot have random wrestling photos of herself removed that are owned by WWE or the individual photographer themselves. You can DM me if you need help. And he's right. The thing is like, you could definitely challenge these. I don't know how it works on Twitter. I'm just talking about the YouTube. I'll speak on YouTube because I'm very familiar with it, you know, from the work I did prior to like launching my own channels and stuff like that. But on the YouTube end, or pardon me, the X end, no fucking clue. I don't make money. I still have my blue check. I don't make money from X. I don't get enough. I don't have enough verified followers, I think. Last time I checked was months ago. And like, I just gave up. I don't care. Some people told me who had blue checks before, they're like, it's not worth it. Like, you know, I tested it after a while. For me, I like it. You know, I like the features it gives me. I'm down with it. So I'm going to keep it, but I have no clue how like a DMCA dispute would work on X whatsoever. But Meltzer said, what? Offering his services. What did he say here? Unless you posted from her OF, dispute it and file a counter notice. And here's the other thing. The next step, so if you get disputed, at least on YouTube, the next step is, okay, we have to go to court over this and dispute it. We have to figure out who owns this shit legally and was it fair use or whatever. Cora Jade isn't going, he's not saying this to be like, fuck Cora Jade. He's just saying this as a fact, okay? Cora Jade isn't going to spend her fucking time like going to court with 30 people online who were like Julian Weeks was wishing her a speedy recovery. She's not going to take that guy to court, so just dispute it. And it's no sweat off anyone's back at that point, because you're basically, or maybe not. Maybe she's like, no, fuck all these people. Okay, then that would suck. Then I'd say shit on her. But yeah, that, ladies and gentlemen, was miscellaneous news.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
So we have some TNA news. Boy, is there some TNA news. A lot of meltdowns. Speaking of melties, man, TNA got everybody in their fifis. Okay, got everybody in their feelings. So what went down at Turning Point was what you see here. Frankie Kazarian defeated Mike Santana to become the new TNA World Champion. Now, when I saw this, when this went down, I went on X, and the whole timeline was just people melting down or praising and putting over Kazarian and just talking about TNA. That's a W right there. That was the point. They did some shit. Now people, you might be more invested. Some people are like, oh, fuck this. The chase, there's more money in the chase with Santana. I mean, a girl's had this title. Am I right, fellas? Right? But they've given it to a woman even. Like, this thing's bounced around. Now, I agree. Should they have taken it off Santana? No, I was straight up shocked. I wouldn't have done that if I was Booker. But also, Santana won the belt, and then who's really talking about it after that? And I noticed it, bro, because I'm like, yo, TNA News is its own segment, and da-da-da-da, I'm going to make sure I add more. We're going to compare to A-Dub. And then it just kind of, I just talked about this recently. Look at the ticket sales for the last pay-per-view. It just didn't do nearly as well, or the upcoming one or whatever. There's not doing as well as Bound for Glory. Not that every single one's going to do as good as their WrestleMania show, but it's just like, you thought some of this momentum would have followed through, and people weren't really talking about TNA, man. And even the TV deal, like, where the fuck is it at? I know for sure in 2026, like early in 2026, we'll hear about it. For sure, we'll like hear what it is or get a rumor about it, or Alba will break a fucking story that then gets corrected or something about it. But we'll start hearing about it more. But even that, like, I thought maybe at BFG they'd drop a bomb on everyone, and maybe Carlos Silva was like, what's the word? He's like, maybe in 9 months. And then he kind of just pulls the trigger on everyone and keeps everyone on their toes and excited about TNA. No, he didn't, man. The hype kind of died down. And now you see this image, like, dude, the hype is real. It's there. Like, people are talking about TNA again. Like, maybe Santana. And then they booked an angle that had the dirt sheets melting down because this dirt sheet reported this, and then this one reported that. But then this one saying that they were worked and they usually wouldn't talk about being worked, but blah, blah, blah. It's just, it created madness. Everyone's talking about TNA. I think that's a fucking W, right? It was a solid match. Kazarian is a guy who I don't think ever won that title. And again, I've told you guys, this is their TNA Legends send-off tour. And remember when Joe Hendry, everyone wanted him to win the goddamn title? And then it just felt like we got dicked around there too, as fans, But then they just announced we'll talk about that in a minute, but I told you guys, hey, TNA is going to let Hendry out early, more than likely, like they did for Jordan Grace. Because he's already on like a deal with them, He already had access to the Performance Center and all this shit, right? So, like, before you were seeing him all the time. Or at least that's the begin. Like, it's the Jordan Grace thing. Like, she was fucking, they were like, you are welcome here. Like, you got to sign with us though when you're done. That's the deal. It's like a deal before the deal comes up, And then TNA is just like, well, you might as well just go there because they're just playing friendly. They're just making good relationships with WWE, right? And so people are pissed about that. And I get that too. And I'm totally understand as a fan. To me, I don't know if I'd have put it on Kazarian yet. Not to say I wouldn't consider it maybe down the line, but I thought Santana was going to rack up them wins. He still could, though. He could still win the belt back from Kazarian, and then they do a trilogy bout, and then he beats Kazarian again, and then he goes on to face other people. That could happen. This could just be like a transitional thing to get hype and to get people talking about TNA. And people are like, what hype? Well, the hype of like everyone was talking about it. It's the same thing we say with like Jey Uso. A billion people are like, he's just an entrance and hit dislike on his video. And then fucking a million other people are like, oh my God, he's awesome and my kids love him and da 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 da, right? And it's like, okay, well, you're hating him, you care about it, or you're talking about it. That's what fucking matters. This was polarizing. And you've seen a bunch of the wrestlers chime in and go, dude, Kazarian deserves this. This was one for the boys, kind of. It's not like Santana's cooked either. Okay? He's either going to WWE way earlier than we thought, way earlier. He's going to be like a Rumble entrant or something. Or Santana's just going to win this shit back. That's my take on it. But I'm telling you, the timeline was just TNA, TNA. How dare they? This is fucked. So what had happened was he got attacked by the NXT guys at the end of the show, right? And so my whole thing is like, you can't completely write off what they're building to here. He was like a prominent part in the invasion. Okay. So he also, and Joe Hendry, we're about to talk about Joe Hendry, he officially signed with WWE, blah, blah, blah. But as I told you guys, they're likely going to let Joe Hendry out of his contract with TNA early, like they did Jordan Grace. Here's the thing with Santana. We don't know how long he's been signed for in TNA. I don't know if Fightful does. I don't know, because they always have the contract news on TNA. I don't know who knows how long he signed for. I'm not sure if that's public information, but what I do know is that TNA's down with doing these like 3-month, 6-month, 9-month deals. So we don't know if they're doing a Joe Hendry and they're letting, or a Jordan Grace, and he's going to leave his contract early to go to WWE. I know a lot of people are upset that Santana lost, but at the same time, you know, Kazarian, we saw all the wrestlers come out and say Kazarian fucking deserves this. They've been heating him up, and we've been talking about that here at PWT for a while as well. They've been heating Kazarian up for quite some time. So all this does is heat him up, build more intrigue. Maybe people are like, oh, I'm turning this shit off, but we don't know. Is Santana leaving his deal early? Is he going right to the main roster? Is he free come Rumble time? They just let it happen for Joe Hendry. Is he going to lead Team TNA to a victory and then win the belt back from Kazarian? And then they're just giving Kazarian a short run because he deserves it because he's been around forever. And so this caused the dirt sheets to melt down. This next tidbit here is that here's what they did. They booked an angle where Santana no-showed the next event, or he didn't show up at the next taping or whatever the fuck they did. What was it? Turning Point was the event, right? He no-showed. He wasn't there yet. He didn't pull up to the building. And this is courtesy of PW Insider. Now, PWI, they're usually on point as well. I would say for the most part of all the dirt sheets, right? I would say they're mostly on point. But this seems like a ginormous fuck up because all the sheets started melting down about like whether or not this is true or that's true or what they were told, what storyline, what isn't. And then they're all trying to save face and defend each other. But and you have like AEW level sicko meltdowns about this TNA situation, and then Santana no showing, but then it was a storyline, or was it a work shoot, right? Nobody knows. But at the end of the day, it got people talking. So for like 2 days, all that was on the timeline was TNA, 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 TNA. It's still on the timeline. People groveling about it, people upset, people who care about it, some people who fucking despise it and say TNA is going to TNA. People are talking about TNA. So again, I'm not sure where I muted myself, but like it's the Jey Uso thing. Like, we fucking cheer for, there's a bunch of people who dislike it. Hey, the algorithms just, here's a bunch of people engaging with this video. You care. Half the crowd says John Cena sucks. Half the crowd loves John Cena, right? It's the same thing. Santana, this does suck for him. Maybe he's leaving soon, though, like Hendry and Jordan Grace did. And he's leaving early. You know, maybe the plan is like, okay, let's just shot, because the hype died down. After Bound for Glory, the hype died down. Okay? I've talked about this on the show already, on past live shows. The fucking hype died down a little bit from TNA. And it could be like the Joe Hendry thing. They didn't pull the trigger on Joe Hendry when everybody wanted. Why? Because it may have just not been the right time. Or they knew, listen, we are going to give, he's going to NXT. He's going to WWE. So we're going to do this our way to make sure we protect and get the most heat on our people who are going to be here. That's the way I view it. And everyone was talking about TNA. So, but anyways, though, it was reported from PWI that Mike Santana has not arrived at tonight's TNA Turning Point event. Santana did not appear for a scheduled meet and greet after the last night's taping. And the word making the way around talents is that Santana has not returned to the company's call or text. Now, the sheets, they love getting leaked too. They love when these wrestlers pick up the phone and call them when they want to trash Tegan Nox and shit. You get 100 people calling them and they're leaking and stooging all this shit. You get the sheets who like brag about their sources and all this shit, but then people run to them to leak this story allegedly and try and get heat on TNA and to get people talking about TNA. And then they're all like, oh, well, the person who told us this doesn't usually come this way. I forget who was saying all this, but this is from PWI that initially reported this shit, right? Because it turns out that this was a work here. So there's been an assumption from some that last night's angle with Mike Santana losing the TNA World title was to facilitate him leaving for NXT, but no one on the WWE side has confirmed that was the case, according to Mike Johnson. So they're saying that nobody confirmed he's going to WWE, but he totally could be going to WWE. Either way, everyone's talking about and speculating on TNA. So here's Trying Brian's take on this shit, because he just wants to artificially trash NXT, and then he wants to take any time he gets the chance to take a shot at TNA, he wants to take it. Right? So that's why it's Trying Brian, trying way too hard here.
You ever had one of those days where you're about to talk about something, but there's news that overshadows everything? Did you hear what happened on the TNA Live special tonight?
I just gotten word of it, yes.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? So, guys, this is the part I might have been muted for as well. I think I was. They are about to announce a TV deal, and the hype of the TV deal died down. I thought Carlos Silva was going to like whip it out at Bound for Glory or something, right? That never happened. This live show, this notion of them live on Thursdays. What have I been telling you this whole time? They want to make this show seem can't miss. The world title changed hands, and we're getting more hype on Turning Point, which is like our PLE. And this live show, anything can happen, and we're going to announce this TV deal in 2026. And this is a show where we want to show strong numbers, ending the year as strong as we can, or whatever the fuck, man. That's all they're trying to do. There's some thought process going on like that is involved in this as well, that you have to put into the equation. Okay? So he's just like, did you see this bullshit? But it's like, no, dude. This is live TV. Like, they're trying to shake things up. And this news, even Brian said it. You ever have one of those days where the news just usurps? You were going to talk about AEW or some bullshit no one cares about. Tony's on a $350 million mega yacht, Steamboat Tone. He don't give a fuck about you, Brian. You were just going to lick his cheeks a few times, okay? You don't need to do that. Hype up TNA. Get hype for this, man. And this is just like the fucking whatever. If you didn't like it, that's fine. But just being like, oh, fucking it's just like the layman's take on this, in my opinion. Like,
TNA gonna
really think about it. There's more to. There's a reason they did this. They're not just like collapsing and then they're laughing. TNA gonna TNA. What's so like? If you watch it, man, Kazarian, they've been heating him up. Like, I'm surprised. I mean, I thought we were gonna get to like Nemeth Kazarian for that title. I think we had that match too. And then they both won that Feast or Fire. So they're still kind of teasing that. But I thought Kazarian was going to like get it off Nemeth or something like that. So I just don't know why people are so shocked. Whatever. I've harped on this.
TNA, I guess.
Oh my God.
It will never not be TNA.
After all these fucking years, they finally, after all these years, made Frankie Kazarian champion at the expense of immediately taking the title off Santana.
Yeah, I will summarize as best I can. Bound for Glory is the biggest show of the year. Mike Santana finally wins the TNA title back from Trick Williams. They then take a month off. They come out tonight live.
It is fucked because it was a month off, but then that could be part of the story too. Like we were gone for a month, whatever the fuck. It was our off season in TNA. Like you could flip it as well, but that I think is where people were like, "What the fuck? He doesn't even get one defense." And we haven't even seen him after a month off, we haven't even seen him and he just loses the title. But again, live TV, the live factor. Hey, we're making waves here on Thursdays. Guys, why do you think that is? Just really think about it,
Show, nothing advertised. That's not quite true. There was 1 or 2 matches advertised. Mike Santana defending his world championship for the first time was not advertised.
Of course not.
No. And
sure this is an NXT we're talking about here. Did Ava make some call?
Ava would never be this dumb. And yes, Frankie Kazarian beats him apparently in less than a minute too. So.
Well, they had there was a big schmoz and a bunch of NXT guys ran in and Charlie Dempsey was there and some others. And then there was a cash in. I mean, it was a big schmoz.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been told I have to.
They didn't just start the match and he pinned him in a minute. I mean, they did a cash in gimmick.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, it's that what was the thing called? Him and Nemeth both won the thing.
You ever had one of those days where you
Yeah, it's just the shock value of like the way everybody talked about Evolution 2 and shit. People just that's what it is. You have NXT Gold Rush coming up that TNA is involved in. I mean, yeah, it's shocking that he lost, but that's the point, right? So I guess we've made that point here. It's shocking. But speaking of shock, okay, shock and awe. There was some awe. JDC Fandango Curtis here. Johnny Curtis announced that he will be retiring from in-ring competition following TNA Genesis in January. So pulling a John Cena, and at the tippy top of the year, he is out of wrestling.
Decided that after Genesis in January that I'm going to be retiring from in-ring action.
Do-do.
I didn't want to just throw this at you guys out here, but I want to do it here in Orlando in this arena at Full Sail because this place means the world to me. And I'm so grateful for the last 27 years I've spent in this business. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for the WWE. I'm grateful for TNA. I spent a lot of time being ungrateful in this business, but right now, I'm telling you that I'm very grateful for my last couple years here in TNA. This is the best locker room I've ever been, and I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Hell yeah. Shout out JDC, man. So Desmond Xavier, FKA Wesley, is returning to TNA. The Rascals teased a reunion with a 4th member, etc. It happened. Where the fuck else? What else was he going to do? This is what the people wanted. Okay. They want the Rascals all back together, all 4.
The Rascals! Welcome home, Desmond Xavier. It's a heartwarming home
all 4 brothers back again. That rules. Good for them.
coming moment from world goodbye. They've been dreaming that they dream family. The Rascals threw down this challenge last night live on Impact, and you can see in the eyes of Trey McGillis across the ring.
The Wesley Des, there he is, back with the Rascals, is as it should be, right? As it's supposed to be. So Gerard says the Santana news about him not answering calls is a work. Sorry, I skipped this. The same official at TNA tried to feed that to us and provided it elsewhere. Normally, we wouldn't blast something like that, but this is the first time someone in any official capacity reached out and provided us a worked angle in an effort to specifically work our audience. Bro, the the dirt sheets are just such a fucking joke, bro. Just all of them. They're just so like, oh, we got worked. They tried to deceive us. We're real news. So yeah, I guess these TNA officials taking advantage of the relationship they've established with Fightful and other publications and trying to, I guess, work them now, which I think is the majority of what wrestling companies, or at least what WWE's been doing for a long ass time. Surprised it took TNA this long to catch on to that's what you're supposed to do. Speaking of things you're supposed to and not supposed to do, sexy BJ Ray from WWE LFG was recently let go. He was at Turning Point and was heckling Kalani Jordan, well, because he knows her.
Bro, hey, yo, this is crazy.
This is like a different match, but he's just talking shit. This is a video from his thing, but he was also heckling at Kalani Jordan. Now, I know that's tough. Like, oh, you're at a wrestling show. How are you heckling? Well, he's like yelling at her. It's like when Enzo showed up or Shane Douglas and tried to disrupt Raw or whatever the fuck, you know?
Bro, hey, yo, this is crazy. Bro, I clap these guys easy, bro. I clap these doors easy. Bro.
So he's trying to like make a name for himself there. I think Mance was in the ring. Mance Warner, but Mance Warner's like bought a ticket, sat in the crowd, freshly shit canned, trying to clown on talent who are getting paid to fight. Good luck on the indie run business good luck on the indie run. The business ain't for everyone. You're a poet and didn't know it. Oh, go. Yeah, and then like SDL responded too. So I don't know if they're doing this again. Are they trying to like work an angle here? Is this TNA saying like we're gonna do work shoots? We're actually gonna bring this kid in. Because here's the thing, when SDL and Mance jump on it, I don't know. It makes me go, they both jumped on this, but Steph goes, you paid a ticket to come and watch us. Stay on that side of the barricade where you belong. I want this to be a work, and I want TNA to bring this kid in, but he might be working himself. Like maybe that's why WWE let him go. Like they're like, no, he truly doesn't get it. You know, because there was times even on the LFG show where you're just like, what the fuck? Like, obviously they're working this, and then he gets released, or you see Bubba, like at one point he got physical with him in a way where it just seemed like it wasn't supposed to be part of the show, and you're like, where he shoved him down the thing. He's like, get the fuck out of it. Like, he seemed genuinely pissed. It's like, does this kid just not get it? But maybe they're starting to do work shoots and whatnot, and that's part of the Santana no-show and leaking shit to the sheets and whatnot. That could be maybe a new approach, or this guy just fucked around and is trying to like get signed somewhere. And then BJ Ray was like, you are my new celebrity crush. So it's like, are they working? I'm giving that a like for a work. I smell a work and income in here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was TNA News.